3 days before the wedding, I received a video from husband's childhood. They were tangled together so tightly neither of them wanted to let go. Julian says the bruises on your stomach kill his appetite, so he comes to me for a late-night snack every night. It's exhausting. I didn't argue, didn't scream, I simply booked the procedure. 3 days later, at the altar, I handed him the surgical report. I draped my wedding gown over his childhood, but in front of everyone he yanked the dress off her body. Then, like a madman, he scoured the world to find me. I was out shopping when the clip arrived. On screen, Julian and his childhood kissed as if they'd never come up for air. Until that moment I'd believed they were just two kids raised like siblings. The sight sent me into a dry heave, black spots swarming my vision. When I came to, I was in a hospital bed. The nurse said a cab driver had brought me in. "Congratulations, ma'am, you're pregnant." The doctor delivered the news as if it were the sweetest secret. My body gave a violent shudder. In college Julian had chased me for 4 straight years. He brought me breakfast every single morning without fail. Every time he spoke at a podium he declared his love for me. When punks harassed me he fought 10 of them alone, ending up in the ER just to keep me safe. Senior year, on the eve of graduation, I showed up outside the men's dorm in a wedding gown. "Julian, you've walked 999 steps toward me. Let me take the final one, will you marry me?" Our love story became campus legend. After graduation we settled in Harbor Bridge, the city his family ruled. We filed the paperwork, and true to his word he showered me with privilege. He even transferred company shares into my name, no strings attached. He said, "If you want it and I've got it, it's yours." I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. The irony felt lethal. The doctor asked gently, "Shall we start a prenatal file? Today could be your first checkup." No. My lips curved upward, but my eyes stayed arctic. "I want a termination." Bewildered, the doctor respected my privacy, scribbled the order, and said no more. While cold steel stirred inside me, it felt as if my heart were being shredded again and again. "I'm sorry, baby. Mom can't selfishly bring you into a world that isn't a real family." When it was over, I folded the ultrasound photo and the discharge sheet into a neat square and tucked them away. 3 days from now was our wedding day. I would arrive with a grand present. I went home and acted normal. Mrs. Lewis still noticed the blood had drained from my face. "Ma'am, are you feeling ill?" I shook my head weakly. "Just a cold. I'll lie down a bit." "Let's keep meals light, maybe some broth." Mrs. Lewis answered at once, "I'll plan the menu right away." I collapsed on the bed and slipped into a foggy sleep within minutes. When I woke, dinner was ready. Brielle sat across from me, gloating, "Last night was my birthday." Julian rented the whole top floor of the restaurant and hired a drone squadron for a light show. "Did you see it, Stella?" My heart bled. While I sobbed all night for the baby I'd lost, they were out celebrating. I gripped my chopsticks so hard my knuckles went white, the only way to keep my body from shaking. Brielle had moved in 6 months earlier. Julian claimed she'd been dumped and needed a place while her place was renovated. I hadn't hesitated to welcome her. I'd invited the wolf right through the door. Julian knows I love roses, so the drone sprinkled rose petals from the sky. He even gave me 3 wish cards, "Anything I want, he'll make it happen." She smiled, pure and vicious. "Stella, did you ever get anything like that? Wish cards?" I curved my lips, remembering the set Julian gave me last year. Cards I'd cherished and never dared to spend the last of. Same trick, new girl. Each breath felt like a fist pounding my chest. Tired of her noise, I laid my chopsticks down and retreated to the master bedroom. Brielle flung her own chopsticks aside. "Playing Ice Queen? Think you actually run this house?" "Mrs. Lewis, ladle me some broth." Housekeeper Lewis swallowed her anger and obeyed. Julian didn't come home until after midnight. He changed, showered, slipped into bed, and curled an arm around my waist as naturally as breathing. I pretended to sleep, eyes wide in the dark. Exhaustion tugged at me, but image after image of him and Brielle pinwheeled through my skull. I couldn't drift off. Julian pressed against my back, voice low, "Wife." He grew restless, dotting kisses along my neck and cheek, inviting me to play. Minutes passed, I stayed a lifeless pond. Once, his heat would have roused me and I'd have rolled over to twine around him. Now his touch turned my stomach. He got the message and retreated to his side of the bed. A few minutes later he rose and left the room. I opened my eyes. Once suspicion sprouts, everything the other person does looks criminal. I slipped out barefoot. Sure enough, the guest room door stood ajar, a blade of light cutting across the hallway. A woman's muffled moan leaked through. It felt as if a fist had closed around my heart. I crept nearer and peered through the slit. Julian had clapped a hand over Brielle's mouth, scolding in a whisper, I told you, no noise. Don't wake my wife. He never broke rhythm. Brielle pried his fingers away, panting. Wouldn't it be more exciting if she heard? Julian froze and warned her, ice cold, don't you dare go near her. He finished and started to leave. Panicked, I tried to step back, then heard her coo through the gap, I'll be good, Julian. Don't go. He didn't, of course. I went rigid, blood like slush, barely able to shuffle to my own bed. I lay there, palm on my flat belly, tears streaking into the pillow. While I'd been on the operating table feeling my heart gouged out, he'd been next door screwing her. I stuffed my fist into my mouth to muffle my sobs, crying until fatigue finally dragged me under. Yet even sleep betrayed me. A few hours later I was awake again. Outside the windows the sky was already bright, Julian was gone, and the sound of his laughter with Brielle drifted down the hall. I got up, pushed the bedroom door open, and found Julian cooking breakfast while Brielle, standing on tiptoe, leaned over to kiss him. What are you two doing? I asked, voice like ice. Julian shoved Brielle away on reflex and flashed her a grin. Wife, you're awake? Breakfast will be ready in a minute. I flicked a cold glance between them. Were you just kissing? Sneaking behind my back was bad enough, now they were carrying on right in front of me. Unacceptable. My fury ignited, a wildfire that threatened to rip right through my skin. Julian set the spatula down at once and hurried over, all solicitous. Brielle was just leaning in to look at the pan. Angle tricked your eyes, or maybe you're groggy from sleep, Brielle chimed in, nodding. Stella, you must have imagined it. Julian dropped a kiss on my cheek, no trace of guilt. Go change. Breakfast is normally handled by Mrs. Lewis. This morning Julian had taken over because Brielle insisted she missed Julian's omelets. One small problem, of the 3 eggs he cracked, one ended up scorched. He ate the burnt one himself, giving Brielle and me the 2 perfect specimens. The toast was golden, the omelet unblemished, yet I had no appetite. I set my chopsticks down. I can't eat. Brielle frowned. Julian saved you the perfect one and you, Brielle. Julian snapped. Then, soft again, looked at me. Wife, you're pale. Want me to take you to the doctor? I waved him off. No need. I'm just nauseated. The smell hit me. I sprinted to the powder room. Julian blanched, chasing after. Stella, what is it? Recently every scent turns me off. His pupils flashed with glee. Stella, could you be pregnant? They were the ones who made me sick. He blamed morning sickness. I smiled, let him interpret it as confirmation. Pregnancy confirmed, letting him know was part of the plan. Julian spun me in a hug. Fantastic. I'm skipping the company, taking you to the hospital right now. I tilted a beatific grin up at him. Put me down gently. The first trimester's fragile. Then I produced the ultrasound photo. 6 weeks. He blinked in surprise. You've already gone? Yesterday. Thought I'd surprise you on our big day. I caressed my belly, eyes wistful. Baby couldn't wait to meet Dad. Julian was over the moon, fussing over me, ordering the staff to pamper me, escorting me back to bed. Wife, rest. I'll arrange the wedding, you simply show up on the day in your gown. Thank you, husband. He tucked me in like the perfect husband, kissed me on the mouth, and whispered, off to the office. Sleep well. Then the hush of the suite descended. Brielle had left with him. The moment the corridor fell silent I phoned the driver, had to go out. An hour later I strode into the lobby of the Sterling Group. Upstairs, predictably, Brielle was at her desk. Julian had arranged a job, right beside him as his personal secretary. Through the slats I saw her arms looped around his neck, the two sharing a bowl of fruit, faces pressed together. My nails cut my palms. Shouldering the door open, I stepped inside. Julian sprang back from her, eyes panicked. Wife, what brings you here? I banked my fire, forcing calm. Am I interrupting? Even so, resentment seeped into my tone. He frowned immediately. Brielle bit her lip, eyes glistening. Sorry, Stella. We played rough as kids, maybe I forgot we're adults. I'll resign and move out. Pantomiming a tear, she pivoted, then checked Julian's grimace and knew her theatrics were landing. Julian seized her wrist. Still holding her, he narrowed his eyes at me. Pregnancy hormones making you paranoid? Brielle is just the neighbor's kid, I help her professionally, nothing else. At that moment the intercom buzzed. His chief staff reminded him of the board meeting. Julian tightened his grip on her hand. "We're busy. Quit inventing problems. Go home, rest." I watched them leave, jaw clenched, finally settled into his chair and slid open his drawer. His personal seal glittered beneath my fingertips. From my purse I drew the document I'd prepared. Stamping his signature mark in red ink, I exhaled. Julian had gifted me 3% of Sterling Group stock months ago. Dumping it required both board consent and his private impression. Today I supplied the latter. With the seal affixed, I rushed to the brokerage and listed every share, price to move. Afterward I treated myself, cut, color, an afternoon at Riverside, shopping bags full of couture. If I was walking away, I would exit in style. By nightfall I glided back home. Julian and Brielle had already returned. His eyes lit up, hers sparked green. Julian snagged my hand. "Wife, come with me." I arched a brow. "Where?" "Trust me." He ushered me into the Maybach and shot toward the coastline. Along the way monologued apologies. "After the meeting I wanted to make up, you'd left. Stress made me lash out, my fault. Forgive me?" I watched sodium lamps blur past, murmuring, "It's fine." A man who truly cared would have spotted the cracks long ago. We parked at an exclusive beach club. Beneath a canopy of stars Julian knelt on the sand and produced a deed. "You love the ocean, wife, this is your own villa. Come whenever you need the sound of waves." Accepting the envelope, I summoned a thin smile. "Cameron, I never actually liked looking at the ocean," I said. "The breeze tastes salty, and it's kind of noisy. I prefer quiet places." "The one who loves the ocean is Brielle." "Julian, you even remembered that wrong." He didn't notice my reluctance at all. He took my hand, gentle as ever. "This is our little world. Let's take a walk." I turned. "I'll go grab a jacket from the car." Back in the car, I tossed the deed into the passenger seat console. As I was about to get out, a corner of red peeked out. Curious, I tugged it free. Another deed. Same gated community as my villa, the house next door, owner listed, Brielle. Even his apology gift wasn't one of a kind. So this was the renovation of the old house he'd mentioned. Turned out he was preparing a new love nest. I pressed a hand to my chest, my heart hurt so much it had gone numb. I brushed under my eyes, they were bone dry. Not a single tear left. We strolled the sand for maybe 10 minutes before Julian's iPhone rang. He glanced, declined, then a text pinged. He stole a careful look. When I leaned closer he killed the screen. "Wife, the company, sudden emergency." I almost laughed. "What company?" Out the corner of my eye I'd spotted the contact name, Piggy. Who else would he nickname that except Brielle? He shifted, anxious, desperate to leave yet terrified I'd notice. He never saw the change in my face. I spoke softly. "Work matters. Let's head back." On the drive I noticed his wedding band was gone. I already knew, Brielle had hidden it. "Why aren't you wearing your ring?" Panic flickered through his eyes, then a calm mask. "Must be at the office. I'll look when we're back." For our wedding Julian had commissioned matching bands he'd engraved himself. Those diamonds once held our purest feelings. I didn't expose him. Okay. That night Julian and Brielle came home. Brielle sulked straight to the guest room. Julian produced the ring, forcing an excuse, fell behind the sofa, got dusty. "I'll have it cleaned tomorrow." I stared, unblinking. "Really?" My quiet tone made him squirm. I studied the diamond, then said, "It is dirty." He soothed, "I'll take it first thing tomorrow." A ring can be polished, can a filthy heart? Later, he sneaked into Brielle's bedroom. Desire exploded. Between ragged breaths he warned, "Stop touching my ring, Stella's suspicious." Brielle scoffed, pouting. "You care about her feelings now?" He nipped her playfully. "Mess with me in private all you want, just don't let Stella see." She clenched her teeth, eyes reddening. "Julian, am I doomed to be your secret forever?" He countered, "Isn't the thrill what keeps me coming back?" "But," she hooked his neck, whispered against his ear, "I'm pregnant too." Julian froze. His face darkened. Seeing it, Brielle's eyes watered. "Julian, this is our first baby." She tested softly, "Don't you want it?" He was too stunned to move. "I'll think about it." She climbed onto him, coy. "Stella can't conceive. What if there's something wrong with her baby?" Julian cut her off sharply. Don't you dare curse Stella. Cold, he added, my child will only be born from Stella. Tears rolled down Brielle's cheeks. I'll behave. She'll never know. His gaze wavered. Then be good, or. She sealed his lips with hers, sensing her chance. For 6 years, immune issues meant daily heparin shots while we tried to conceive. My abdomen was mottled with bruises. More than once Julian hugged me, said we should give up, he couldn't watch me suffer. But I endured it all for him, for a child born of our love. He swore we were his only family. Now Brielle existed. Soon she'd bear his child too. Julian, you're the one who broke your word. Next morning I craved rice noodle soup. Julian offered to cook. Brielle emerged, eyes stinging, switching to a sweet tone. Julian, I want some too. With me there, he shot her a look. Ask Mrs. Lewis. I only made one bowl. Brielle pouted. You're biased. She sat, called Mrs. Lewis for something else, laughed. I was joking, I hate rice noodles. Julian ignored her, but I caught her foot brushing his ankle. Before he left he kissed my forehead. I swallowed the urge to recoil. Julian. I stopped him. He turned, smile bright. Wife, what treat should I bring back? You know what I've sacrificed for this baby. Promise you'll love only him. Something in my words made his smile hitch, it recovered quickly. Of course, if your heart changes, your child and I will die. All color drained from his face. Don't talk nonsense. I only love you. From the bedroom I watched the living room feed on my iPhone. Julian yanked Brielle toward the door, expression black. She sobbed, begging. He hissed, you will not keep this child. My baby will be born only by Stella. My wife is only her. Anyone watching would call him loyal. I touched my flat, empty belly and my eyes burned. I'm sorry, little one. When Brielle returned she was pale, her steps unsteady. She ordered Mrs. Lewis to make broth. Mrs. Lewis looked at me first. After all, I'm the lady of the house. Feigning ignorance, I stepped forward. Brielle, are you feeling unwell? Do you want me to drive you to the hospital? Brielle's eyes were vicious, but after she thought about Julian's attitude she swallowed her anger at me and answered in a sullen voice, it's just a cold. I'll be fine after some rest, Emery. I knew Julian had forced her to have the operation. On the surface I still showed thoughtful concern. I told the kitchen to simmer broth for Brielle. Only then did Mrs. Lewis comply. I seemed to feel someone spying on me from behind, making my spine go cold. She hates me for this tiny bit of pain? On countless nights when the two of you were laughing, I was next door washing my face with tears. When I watched the child I had finally conceived turn into a jar of bloody fluid, that heart-gouging pain made life worse than death. That evening Julian gave me 8-figure jewels to celebrate my pregnancy. At the same time he brought back crates of supplements. These were all paired by the nutritionist, nourishing for you and the baby will put on weight too. He had prepared double portions all along, I was just his excuse. Looking at the dining table covered with every kind of nutrient, I acted overwhelmed. So much, is it all for me? All for you and the baby. Julian pulled me close, his face full of tender distress. These 6 years you have worked too hard. From now on you must take care of yourself, gain a couple of pounds. On a windy day I'm afraid you'll be blown away. How could one person finish all this? I saw through it but said nothing. After dinner Julian stayed in the master bedroom with me while I binge-watched dramas and he followed up on tomorrow's wedding details. He even had me pick our honeymoon destination. I had zero interest and pointed randomly. He frowned. Stella, you don't want the beach? The beach again. I stared at him and said flatly, I have never liked the beach. His breath stalled for a second, but he didn't argue. He smiled and turned another page. Then Luxembourg it is. I was unmoved. Fine. He finally sensed something was wrong. Furrowing his brow he said, Stella, I feel like you've changed. I gave a faint smile. Changed how? He thought for a moment. Before, you were excited about trips and started planning early, but this time you don't care. Playing both sides, shuttling between two women, yet wishing I'd treat him like before. Men are truly selfish and greedy. I looked at him, smiled wearily, and said, maybe the pregnancy is wearing me out. After a beat I added, anywhere is fine as long as I'm with you. His smile returned. He straightened my quilt, leaned down, and kissed me. Good, I'll choose. Rest well and leave everything to me. Saying this, he had nothing left to add and told me to sleep tight. In the middle of the night, while I pretended to sleep, he slipped into Brielle's guest room. Julian had promised that, besides marriage and a child, he would give Brielle anything. Brielle couldn't take it and broke down. Julian, this isn't fair to me. You told me you loved me. Julian admitted outright, I love Stella more. Brielle collapsed completely, smashing everything in the room. Julian immediately clamped a hand over her mouth. Keep it down. If Stella wakes up, you'll be out of this house. In the end, Brielle didn't make a scene. Julian ordered her not to show up at the wedding. Brielle wept and begged, Julian, since I can't marry you in this life, at least let me see you in your groom's tux, okay? I'll be good, I swear I won't make trouble. Men are conceited to the core. He believed every word he said would be obeyed. But he overlooked a woman's lust for the top spot. No one is willing to share a man. Brielle truly didn't throw a tantrum in front of him, she simply turned around and texted me her positive pregnancy report. Julian made me abort it. You win this round. But don't get cocky, I've never given birth, so my figure won't change. From now on you'll wear the Mrs. Vance badge alone in an empty bed. Julian will never touch you again. You made me lose my baby, and I will make you wish you were dead. I made her lose her baby? Then whose fault was it that I lost mine? Dawn broke. The wedding was upon us. Countdown, day 0. Per protocol, I was to leave first for hair and makeup. Julian headed straight to the hotel. When the ceremony began, there was no bride. The giant screen instead showed clips of Julian and Brielle tangled in each other's arms. The final slide was the ultrasound she had sent me last night plus her taunting messages. A city courier arrived, exactly at the time I had arranged, and personally delivered my termination record to Julian. With it was the divorce agreement already signed by me. Mr. Vance, Miss Sterling says she has signed the divorce papers. The baby, she aborted it too. The hall erupted, though because of the Vance family's clout no one dared voice a sound. Still, nothing could restrain their hunger for gossip. Julian clutched the medical report so tightly his knuckles blanched. Pain slammed his chest until he could barely breathe. He grabbed the courier's jacket. Where is Stella? Tell me where she is. The courier shrugged. Perfectly innocent, Mr. Vance. I only fulfilled a client's request. I have no idea where Miss Sterling is. Julian stood motionless on the stage, needing long seconds to understand. Stella had fled the wedding. Impossible. Had every scrap of affection been fake? When he saw the date on the termination form, his heart felt ripped out. He couldn't draw a full breath. He realized at last, these past days had all been her revenge. At that moment the courier reappeared. This time he carried Stella's wedding gown, meant for Brielle. He also handed over a card. Mr. Vance, Miss Sterling asked me to give you this. She said it's her wedding gift to you. Inside it read, Julian, thank you for choosing to keep my child, but what am I to do? I had already aborted him a few hours before Brielle's procedure. She's still young, you can make her pregnant again, and I'm sure she'll be delighted. I'm gone. You two can finally stop hiding. I already altered the dress to fit your Brie. May you grow old together, locked to each other for life. May we never meet again in this lifetime. This was the perfect opening. Brielle hurried into the gown and walked step by step toward the man she had always coveted. Eyes shining, heart racing, she said, Julian, at last I can be your bride. Julian's face was storm black, a vein pulsing at his temple, his fists clenched so tight they cracked. Who told you could put that on? Brielle was stunned. She couldn't understand how the man who had pampered her, whispered to her last night, could turn on her in a heartbeat. Tears rimmed her eyes, but she refused to undress. Julian, I'm marrying you, aren't you happy? Take it off. Julian shouted, who gave you permission to wear that? Brielle clung to her delusion. Stella's gone, so now I can marry you. She didn't know those words would detonate Julian's rage. My wife will always be Stella, only Stella. He lunged and tore at her wedding gown. The dress was strapless, one yank and she'd be exposed. She clutched the bodice, sobbing, begging, Julian, don't rip it off, I'll be naked in front of everyone. Marrying you has been my dream since we were kids. Julian's heart didn't soften. The entire ballroom echoed with Brielle's anguished wails. Later, the Vance wedding of the century became the laughingstock of Harbor Bridge. The girl stripped of her gown at the altar couldn't bear the humiliation. She plunged from the 29th floor. They say Julian never even glanced at the body. He simply cradled the abandoned wedding dress and went searching for his real bride. By then I was already recuperating at Best's apartment. Best shoved the newsfeed under my nose and sneered. So, what do you think of Julian's little performance? I read every headline, then set the phone down calmly. Only a week had passed, yet it felt like a century. Can't bear to watch. After you vanished, Julian went full tilt crazy. He's combing the planet for you, didn't even blink when Brielle jumped. Isn't that classic? Never cherish what you have, then sob when it walks away. I opened my iPhone, hundreds of texts from Julian. Stella, Brielle's dead. No one can keep us apart now. Stella, I finally see my mistake. I screwed up like any man might. Give me one more chance and I swear it won't happen again. Stella, I get why you're furious. You terminated the pregnancy to punish me. I feel your pain. Your takeover of the company shares, I know it was you. I don't care about any of that. I just want you back. Stella, where are you? Please answer me. I'm begging. Stella, tell me where you are, please, just text me back. I deleted them all right in front of Best, then blocked every number. Men's words are devil spells. Best nodded hard. Who needs guys? We shine solo, so what's next? I patted my Birkin. I'm filthy rich now. How would you like me as majority investor in your company? Best had also landed in this country years ago with a broken heart and a suitcase. Her brand had traction but kept hitting funding walls. My infusion would rocket it. Hell yes, get in here. Her startup specialized in color cosmetics. Once I'd regained my strength, I jumped into her .D with her. We flew nonstop to meet clients, vet suppliers, tour labs. Every night I collapsed face first into the pillow. After rounds of stability tests, we launched a new line. It sold out in weeks. Year-over-year sales spiked 5%. To celebrate, we booked an entire hotel for the staff party. Best clinked my glass. See? Hustle is the best morphine. Only then did I realize I hadn't thought about Julian in ages. Women can dazzle alone. I raised my champagne. To our guts. We toasted, sisters in rebirth. Life offers plenty besides romance. That night I drank more than usual. My assistant walked me home. At the lobby in trance I froze. Someone impossible leaned against a Rolls-Royce, smoking. The street lamp carved Julian's silhouette long and lonely. Curls of smoke masked his face. Seeing me, he stubbed the cigarette and strode over. Stella, I finally found you. His gaze slid to my right and darkened. I realized then why I'd been wobbling. Too much champagne, the assistant steadying me, his hand still on my waist. The assistant began to pull away, but I subtly laced my fingers over his. Julian's expression blackened another shade. You left me, for him? I lifted my chin, meeting Julian's eyes. What was I supposed to do, stay and cry every night while you and Brielle screwed in the next room? A flash of shame crossed his handsome face. He lowered his head. I was wrong, Stella. I'm sorry, she's dead now. I'll never betray you again. Give me one more chance, please? In all our years together, Julian had never begged. Once, that would have broken me. Now it only turned my stomach. You slid our matching bands onto Brielle's finger. You bought her a penthouse right next to the one you gave me. What did you want? A 2-for-1 marriage? At that his head drooped even lower. Brielle was novelty, not love. She was bright and wild. I was drawn to the spark, but it wasn't love. Since you left, I've been rotting alive. He lifted his gaze, eyes glistening. Every memory of us haunts me. I lie in our bed and feel your scent fading from the sheets. It's killing me. Enough, Julian. I cut him off coldly. Save the speeches for your next conquest. Whatever happens to you is none of my business now. I slid my arm around the assistant's waist and pulled him flush against me. Julian's breath hitched. You used to be my entire world. Now I want the actual world. Since I walked away, I've discovered that anyone, except you, can make me happy. I stepped past him, leaning on the assistant as we headed inside. Stella, you'll regret this. Julian shouted, voice cracking with fury. I didn't look back. I ushered the assistant in and snapped off the lights. An hour later the rolls growled away. Only then did I flip the lights on. The assistant stood there flustered, eyes wide. Avery, I have a girlfriend. As if that weren't enough, he added, we're getting married next month. I love her. I laughed and transferred him an obscenely fat bonus. Just now, Cameron you. He blinked. It's hush money and a wedding gift, I said. Stay true to her, stay happy. Realizing he'd only been a prop, he exhaled relief. Alex, with Julian gone, the last boulder rolled off my heart. All those years I'd believed my only path was to bear Julian's children. I'd made him my universe. Thank you, Julian, for teaching me that I come first, everything else comes second. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked the video, smash that like button and share it with friends. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next episode.
In the 6th year of our marriage, Sebastian told me he wanted to throw me a vow renewal ceremony. Clutching the guest roster, I went to him, glowing for his final nod, only to bump into him at the doorway as he cooed at the woman in his arms. The ceremony's just for show. You know, I stopped loving Jacqueline ages ago. I listened, then turned quietly away, making a vow to myself. I want nothing more to do with this man, or this hollow marriage. Before we go on, please subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Jackie, something's come up at heart. I can't make the wedding gown fitting. I've lost count of how many times Sebastian has stood me up. Watching his text, I felt a dull ache. Under the spotlights, the diamond-studded gown shimmered like a dream, yet its heavy skirt pressed the breath out of me. For no reason at all, I started wondering why we even needed this spectacle. We'd been married 6 years without a wedding. At first we were broke. Later, he was short on time. So last month, when he said he wanted to give me the ceremony we'd missed, I was over the moon. Only Sebastian was still too busy. So busy that every last detail had landed in my lap. Booking the grand, choosing the invites. Fine, I could handle those alone. But the gown, surely my husband should share that moment. Yet for the entire month, he was either out of town or tied up in meetings. He'd swear he was free in the afternoon, then cancel the same night. This long overdue wedding had become a solo project. Suddenly, I was exhausted. When the stylist brought another gown, I waved her off. No more fittings. Just bill me for the most expensive one. Outside the boutique, rain was coming down in sheets. I thumbed the rideshare app. No drivers. I stood at the curb, helpless. Cars streamed past, but none slowed for me. My umbrella felt pointless against the downpour. I could feel the cold seep straight through to my spine. In the end, I called Sebastian. First ring, no answer. Second ring, his phone died. Only then did it hit me. The trap holding me wasn't just the storm. I darkened the screen and stopped begging for scraps. My luck hadn't totally run out. Minutes later, I ran into a neighbor heading home. She gave me a lift. The house was pitch black and silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. Sebastian clearly wasn't back. Late summer nights are usually warm, but the drenching had left me with a throbbing head. A hot shower helped, and I collapsed into bed, only to be jolted awake by my ringtone. Sebastian, returning the call. Hello. Dead air, just pounding club music. A pocket dial, I figured, ready to hang up. Then a sugary voice floated through. Quinn, already tapped out? Come on, another round. I stared at the ceiling for 2 heartbeats before the line cut to dial tone. I redialed, and again got the message. The number you have called is powered off. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Outside, the storm drummed against the glass, sounding like distant gunfire. Something inside me was caving in, and I was terrified to look. I tossed all night while the rain kept time. At dawn, the downpour finally stopped. I shuffled downstairs to boil some noodles. The lock clicked. Sebastian was back. Seeing me at the stove, he raised an eyebrow. Up so early? I kept my back to him, silent. He sighed, stepping closer. Are you mad at me? I've been swamped, but it's all so next month's vow renewal can go off without a hitch. Cut me some slack, okay? He reeked of whiskey and cigarettes. I wrinkled my nose, easing his head off my shoulder. Go shower, now. He blinked, read the frost in my eyes, and wisely retreated. When he came downstairs, I was sliding a bowl of noodles onto the table. He sat without asking. Silence thickened between us. At last he cracked. Did you settle on a gown? I kept eating, eyes down. Impatience snapped across his face. Jackie, how long are you going to sulk? So, I missed one fitting. I'm exhausted. Can you please be reasonable? Everything I do for you, for our family. He kept piling on the accusations. I stared, stunned. According to him, I was the selfish one. Yet he never mentioned last night's accidental broadcast. I flash back to the early days. We were fresh out of college, poorer than church mice, squeezing every dollar until it screamed. Our first home was a cramped studio. We'd pound the pavement for investors by day, then share an $8 box of fried rice at the wobbly table by night. In summer, the roof leaked. In winter, the heater coughed itself to sleep. We'd wrap ourselves in the same blanket and let shared body heat do the rest. Life was brutal, but our hearts beat in the same direction. I'll never forget the night he landed his first major client. In that drafty room, eyes shining, he gripped my hands. "Jackie, I swear I'll give you the best life anyone could dream of." The vow in his gaze outsparkled any star. And he delivered, step by excruciating step. I watched him claw his way up. Heart grew, his all-nighters multiplied, and the hours left for me shrank. We traded the studio for a penthouse, then the penthouse for this cliffside mansion. Square footage ballooned while the word home deflated. He kept his promise. I now have the best life, complete with the ceremony we never had. I ought to be grateful, shouldn't I? Yet I simply couldn't make myself happy. Time had left no marks on the man. Sebastian looked exactly as he had 10 years ago, but the axis of his life had already shifted. I was no longer his first choice. There was always something always more important than me. The thought hit me like a wave of sorrow. My eyes reddened instantly. Sebastian noticed and finally softened. "I'm sorry, Jackie. I shouldn't have snapped at you. Don't be mad, okay? After the ceremony, we'll go see the Northern Lights. You've always wanted to go. I'll take you, please." No one knew better than Sebastian how to melt my heart, just like after every argument we'd ever had. A few sentences, and my forgiveness was his. When it came to the man I loved, the scales inside me tipped his way without my noticing. This time was no different. I stared at him and, in the end, obediently took the step he offered. The very last time, I told myself, the last margin of error I would give him, give us, for the decade we had walked together. After breakfast, Sebastian left. That was the thing I admired most about him. Weekday or weekend, no matter how late he'd been out the night before, the next morning he was at heart, rain or shine. Not long after Sebastian was gone, the Grand called about the reception. They wanted me to confirm the final guest roster. I couldn't decide on a few names. I hesitated, then resolved to discuss it with Sebastian. Since the company'd found its footing 3 years ago, I'd rarely gone in. Sebastian had taken over everything, claiming he didn't want me worn out. A handsome husband who earned big. On paper, I was the enviable Mrs. Hart. But I felt caged inside the prison he'd forged in love's name. I never liked the feeling. Outsiders saw my life prefixed with adjectives, perfect, blessed, yet they didn't know every shiny beginning had started with Sebastian and me fighting side by side. When Hart first launched, there were only the two of us. Logistics, admin, bookkeeping, PR, I did it all. Step by step we reached today. Now the world only saw Sebastian on the summit. No one saw the me hidden behind him, enduring, giving. It was Saturday. The building should have been empty. I went straight upstairs and paused outside Sebastian's office. The door stood ajar. As I raised my hand to knock, a woman's low moan drifted out. My hand froze midair. The next second I heard Sebastian. "The ceremony is just for show. You know I stopped loving Jacqueline ages ago." I stood rooted, disbelief flooding me. Through the gap, I saw him cradling a flirtatious woman in his arms. They were nuzzling, teasing. Seeing it with my own eyes, I realized how ridiculously blind I'd been. I swallowed the bile in my throat, spun around, and fled. Though I'd done nothing wrong, I'd never felt more wretched. The softness I'd felt that morning now seemed pitiful. Some well-meaning wives in our circle had hinted that no one stays spotless in this gold-plated arena. I'd only smiled. I'd made excuses for his social obligations that he couldn't refuse. Every courtesy and scrap of trust to Jamie was supposed to give, I handed over. Perfume that wasn't mine clinging to his shirt, strands of hair too long to be mine on his suit. Even last night's suggestive phone call, I'd looked the other way. No direct proof, and I hated parsing suspicions about the man who'd walked every mile with me. Now, the truth was flung in my face. My chest ached as if bludgeoned. I could accept our love flattening under the weight of years. I could never accept him hiding another woman in his heart. Somewhere out of my sight, our relationship had rotted beyond repair. Gulping for air, I noticed an ad playing inside the elevator. Heart's logo flashed across the screen, followed by glittering jewelry. In an instant, I understood why Sebastian wanted a vow renewal. Not to keep a promise, not out of renewed love, but because Heart was about to launch a new collection whose theme was eternal. I tugged one corner of my mouth in self-mockery. 10 years together, 6 married. No one knew his style better. As co-founder, Sebastian's epic love story would be the perfect marketing hook. He would stage our ceremony so the world saw him as the living spokesman for eternal. Typical merchant. Set against profit, a decade of feelings became expendable. Outside the elevator, clean air rushed into my lungs and my head cleared. At the next intersection, if memory served, stood a law office famous for handling divorces. I went straight in without hesitation. Please prepare a divorce petition for me fast. 2 hours later, I held a concise, clause-packed document. Turned out 10 years could be folded into a few pages. On the way home, I stopped by Paws to pick up Toast, whom I'd left for a bath yesterday. Toast, our golden retriever of 5 years. The moment he saw me, the dozing dog's eyes lit up. 5 years ago, shortly after our wedding, Heart was still struggling and Sebastian kept getting doors slammed in his face. One night, he drank too much at a client dinner. I drove to collect him, only to be rear-ended en route. At street, we learned I was 2 months pregnant. Despite everything we tried, we lost the baby. The crash left me unable ever to become a mother. Overwhelmed with guilt, Sebastian transferred most of his equity shares to me. That same year, he gave me Toast for my birthday. Jackie, with or without kids won't change us, he'd said. Funny, our child hadn't changed us. His heart had. Besides the settlement I fully deserved, Toast was now everything to me. Back home, I phoned the Grand and canceled the venue. They couldn't understand my decision and tried everything to make me stay. I couldn't be bothered to explain. Maybe my tone was so final they knew nothing they said would matter. Jamie turned around and called Seb. A few minutes later, Seb walked through the front door. The moment he stepped inside, he shouted at me. The Grand just called. You canceled the wedding.
Why?
We agreed on everything this morning. What game are you playing now? I watched the irritation flare across his face and answered calmly, let's get a divorce. What did you say? He looked like he must have misheard. I said, let's get a divorce. Seb stared, incredulous. Stop the drama, Jackie. Are you still sulking because I didn't go wedding gown shopping with you? Fine. I'll go with you right now. Instead of replying, I turned away, reached under the coffee table, and pulled out the divorce petition. That won't be necessary. Just sign this. He took it from my hand and finally understood I wasn't joking. The last of his composure cracked. He flipped through the pages, muttering, Why? We were fine this morning. I cut him off. I came to Heart this morning. His hands froze. When it registered, he blurted, It isn't what you think, Jackie. Don't you think it's a little late for explanations? I gave you a chance, Seb. You threw it away. Sign it, and we can both keep a shred of dignity. My voice didn't waver, and Seb deflated completely. I felt nothing. I simply turned and went upstairs to pack. When I came back down with my suitcase and Toast, Seb hadn't moved. Seeing me head for the door, he lunged and caught my arm. Where are you going? None of your business. You're taking Toast too? Should I leave him with you? Jackie, don't do this. Can we just talk? I wrenched my arm free. Enough, Seb. You're sickening. The shout stunned him. He stepped back. You don't have to leave. Stay here with Toast, I'll go. Traveling with a golden retriever would make hotel life messy. If he wanted to be the one who left, perfect. It would spare me the hassle. Just before the door shut, I heard his voice tremble. I won't sign the divorce petition. I'll never divorce you. Jackie, calm down. Give me one more chance. Don't throw us away. Watching his back recede, I almost laughed. No one gets to love you twice from the beginning. And I wasn't about to grant a rerun. Seb stayed gone for 2 weeks. He flooded my phone with apologies. I ignored everyone. Finally, I'd had enough. I blocked him outright and told him to speak to my attorney. The lawyer reported that Seb flat out refused to sign. I was exasperated. If he wouldn't end this amicably, litigation was the next step, messy and time-consuming. Before I could file, however, an unwelcome visitor arrived. The moment I saw her face, I knew exactly who she was. She was the woman I'd glimpsed outside Seb's office that day. Alex, heiress to Ellis. Suddenly, everything made sense. Ellis was Hart's newest corporate partner. Seb had mentioned it repeatedly. His appetite really was bottomless. He actually thought he could have the woman and the fortune. Alex stood on the threshold, looking me up and down. I met her hostile stare without flinching. "So you're Jacqueline?" she drawled. "Honestly, nothing special." I said nothing and started to close the door. She blocked it with her hand. "Miss Hart, aren't you curious why I'm here?" I stepped aside just enough for her to continue. "I'm picking up a few things for Seb," she announced, chin lifted, voice dripping triumph as though she'd bagged a rare trophy. "Didn't you know? He's been staying at my place." I'd met shameless people before, but she set a new standard. Where he crashes is no concern of mine, as long as I don't have to look at him. My answer caught her off guard. Surprise flickered across her face. Then she swaggered inside, as if she owned the place. I was about to object when Toast, scenting a stranger, thundered down from the second floor. He barked twice, freezing Alex in her tracks. I clapped a hand over my mouth to smother a laugh. Alex's voice shook. "What are you giggling at? Leash that beast." Hearing her insult, Toast snapped my last thread of tolerance. "Ms. Lynn, you can apparently lead another woman's husband away without breaking a sweat, yet a dog intimidates you. Or is Seb worth less than one?" Her mask slipped. She went shrill. "What did you say? Don't get cocky, Cameron." Toast bared his teeth and barked again, rattling her so badly she couldn't finish. I scratched his golden head. "Good boy." Back upstairs. When Toast trotted away, Alex muttered, "Humph. A woman who can't give him children, clutching a dog instead. Pathetic." Somewhere along the line, Seb's taste had turned abstract. No wonder his love for me had died. "If you've time to spare, Ms. Lynn, urge Seb to sign the papers instead of dragging this out." I'd had enough. I shut the door in her face. 2 quiet hours passed. That evening, Seb showed up as well. One clown after another. I regarded the man on my doorstep with ice in my eyes. Half a month had aged him. The instant he saw me, he launched into the same old act. Seb's talent for theater was wasted on boardrooms. Tears and apologies spilled out in rehearsed waves. Watching him made me nauseous. Still, he pressed on, determined. "Jackie, let's talk." "There's nothing to say. Your girlfriend already delivered your message this afternoon." Confusion flickered across his face. "She came here?" I didn't care whether he'd known. "Leave, or I'm calling the police." "Don't, Jackie." "Fine." "You won't go? Then I will." I turned back inside, grabbed my phone and ID, and walked out past Seb. He only realized what was happening when the door was already swinging shut and came charging after me. I didn't look back once. I just slid into the first yellow cab I saw. Wrestling with Seb all night would get me nowhere. Better to sleep, really sleep for once. Tomorrow I would walk into Whitman and start the paperwork. Filing the divorce petition had become unavoidable. I checked into a random hotel and made do with the night. At 8 the next morning, I was sitting across from my lawyer. She told me, point blank, that right now I had nothing concrete proving Seb cheated during our marriage. Winning would be an uphill fight. I trudged home, shoulders sagging. Toast was gone. I tore through every room. Nothing. I jogged the entire complex twice. Still nothing. Panic climbed my throat. I pulled up the security feed from the front door. The footage showed Seb letting himself in again not long after I'd left. At 2 a.m., he bolted out, frantic, phone to his ear. That was the exact moment Toast slipped through the gap he'd left in the doorway. Seb never noticed. He was too busy shouting into a screen. I lost it. I rang him 6 times, straight to voicemail. Finally, his assistant picked up. He was at St. Alex had spiked a fever in the middle of the night, she said. Seb's mad dash had been to rush her to the ER. I barreled into the ward. Alex lay propped against white pillows. Seb sat beside her, paring an apple in one long, curling ribbon. Picture-perfect devotion. When he saw me, guilt flickered across his face. Jackie, what are you doing here? I didn't bother with words. I slapped him hard enough to sting my palm. Alex's eyes went dinner plate wide. How dare you hit him? She clutched the sleeve of his shirt. Seb, are you okay? Let me see. He murmured, I'm fine, soothing her like a skittish child. I couldn't care less about their little bedside opera. I told you to sign and you refused. Now Toast is gone, happy.
What?
Toast is missing. I shoved my phone at him. Watch. See that? If I don't find Toast, Sebastian, I will hate you for the rest of my life. I left street, ducked into the first copy shop I saw, and printed lost dog flyers. I paid a couple of teenagers to blanket the neighborhood. At 2 p.m., my cell rang with an unfamiliar number. A woman said she'd picked up a golden retriever matching Toast's description. I drove to the address she gave, heart hammering. The moment Toast bounded toward me, I could breathe again. He was muddy, but unhurt. His rescuer was a young woman in running gear, vaguely familiar, though I couldn't place her. Thank you doesn't begin to cover it. Give me your account, and I'll wire a reward. She shook her head. Miss Hart, if you really want to thank me, it's simple. I happen to need Miss Hart's help with something. I waited, eyebrows raised. I'm Victoria Lynn, Alex's half-sister. My dear little sister's morals are questionable. What she did to you is gutter level even for her. As the elder, I believe in cleaning up family messes, don't you? Rest assured, Miss Hart, you'll get your apology, just not the way you expect. But first I'll need you to play along with a little scheme. Before I could untangle her meaning, she laid out a revenge blueprint so airtight it could have been drafted by a Pentagon task force. So, Miss Hart, care to team up? Before Toast slipped out that door, I'd still planned to leave Seb with a sliver of dignity. Every step backward I'd taken had only handed him fresh ammunition. Wrongdoing demands a receipt, paid in full. Jamie, I didn't hesitate. I agreed on the spot. Over coffee, Victoria filled in the blanks. Alex is the Lynn patriarch's illegitimate daughter, ushered into the family mansion only after Victoria's mother died. The two girls have been at war since adolescence. One room, two armies. Alex is dazzling but dim. Mommy's backing made her spoiled and vicious. With the old man's health failing, Ellis is finalizing its succession plan. Victoria has zero intention of ceding a single voting share to Alex. She wants sole command. I want my freedom. Two separate wars, one common battlefield. The enemy of my enemy isn't just a friend. She's my new boardroom ally. After settling Toast in the car, I texted Seb. We need to talk. He showed up glassy-eyed, apology rehearsed. I'm sorry, Jackie. I had no idea Toast would bolt. Tell me what to do to make this right. I let my shoulders droop, voice cracking on cue. Sign the papers. You know we can't go back. 10 years, Seb. Let's not end in a spectacle. Fight fire with fire. If he could play repentant lover, so could I. Give me one more chance, Jackie. I swear I've learned. If you'd learned, Alex wouldn't still have you on a leash. But I cut him off. Stop lying to yourself. You don't love me. For a decade, my universe orbited you. Every compromise opened another door for you to walk through. I won't dissect the damage anymore. I don't hate you, but I can't forgive and fake forever. You've read the settlement. I'm not asking for extras, only what's fair. As for my equity shares, I'll sell them to you at market before the IPO launch. You'll become majority holder. Total control. Let me go, Seb. Let's finish this cleanly. The speech sounded so sincere, I almost believed my own tremor. Seb kept his head down, silent, until the part about the shares. His pupils sharpened with calculator gleam. He'd been planning a public offering. Buying me out beforehand would juice his net worth beyond imagination. No entrepreneur alive could refuse. At last he croaked, Fine. If that's what you want, I'll give it to you. But I have one last request, Jackie. I watched him manufacture tears and dug my nails into my palms. If it weren't for the fact that the moment wasn't right, I swear I'd have punched him square in the face. I bit down on my anger, forced my voice steady, and said, "What request? Finish the wedding with me. Think of it as my final way to make things up to you."
Ha.
So this is the ambush he'd been saving. Of course there would be a wedding. Not just any wedding, an extravaganza. With a show this good, the more spectators the better. "Jamie," I tilted my head in pretend reluctance and nodded. Before this, whenever I'd push Sebastian to file the paperwork, he'd stall with every excuse in the book. Yet when it came to signing over equity shares, he moved like lightning. In less than a month, we'd carved up every asset and completed every handoff. He signed the divorce petition without protest. All he asked was that I keep quiet for now and not leak a word. Naturally, I promised to choose the perfect moment. Sebastian was probably already sketching layouts for his IPO launch gala. But an IPO? He wouldn't live to see listing day. The instant the last dollar landed in my account, my side of the ledger would be closed. Then it would be Victoria's turn. While I waited for her signal, I stayed busy. I upgraded to a bigger venue for the vow renewal ceremony. I doubled the guest roster. I invited everyone I could think of, and several I shouldn't. I even paid for planted stories and promo pieces. Sebastian was buried in the final sprint toward his public offering and never thought to meddle in my plans. Exactly what I wanted. My goal was maximum visibility. Within Harbor Bridge's elite circles, the upcoming spectacle became the only topic. Meanwhile, Victoria kept tightening the screws on Alex, making her life miserable. The pressure left Alex frantic. Add the fact that Sebastian and I hadn't announced our split, and to Alex my grand preparations looked like a reconciliation, a public declaration of ownership over him. Jamie, Alex finally lost it. She needed Sebastian as her shield urgently. 1 month later, Victoria's message arrived. Time to haul in the net. Attached were Alex's positive pregnancy test and a month's worth of grainy surveillance photos of her and Sebastian in every intimate pose imaginable. The same night Alex asked to meet, she truly couldn't wait a single second more. Since she delivered herself to my door, of course I went. Before I walked in, I set my phone to record. The moment she saw me, her face lit with triumph she couldn't hide. "What do you want?" I came straight to the point. She didn't bother pretending either. "I'm pregnant. It's Seb's. I don't know why you keep dragging the divorce out, but he loves me. Now that I'm carrying his child, he'll never choose you. If Miss Hart has any sense, she'll cut her losses and walk away." As expected, Sebastian wouldn't breathe a word about our divorce until after the ceremony. I switched on the waterworks, voice trembling. How could he do this to me? Seeing me crumble fed her arrogance. "I warned you, but you insisted on making a fool of yourself." I sobbed louder. Alex smirked. "Take your time crying. I'm out." Once she left, I wiped my face clean. Our entire conversation was safe in my recorder. I forwarded the file to Victoria. 2 minutes later, she replied, "All set." I exhaled for the first time in weeks. Now I only had to wait for the wedding day. When that morning arrived, Sebastian presented a velvet box and gestured for me to put the contents on. Inside lay the diamonds of Hart's upcoming Eternal collection. Their sparkle looked obscene in the circumstances. Sebastian never missed a marketing angle. He'd even spliced product shots into the wedding documentary. Pity for him, we'd already swapped that footage. Halfway down the aisle, the string quartet faded, and my recorded chat with Alex blared through the speakers. Then the projector flashed surveillance stills of Sebastian and Alex locked in passion. The crowd's chatter died. A collective gasp detonated into deafening whispers. Chaos rippled across the lawn. Sebastian barked orders to cut the feed, but the techs were no longer on his payroll. Every second was feeding a live stream broadcast. Reporters I'd planted surged forward. Within minutes, the story owned every screen in Harbor Bridge. For 3 straight days, the scandal clung to the trending headlines. Sebastian's carefully crafted image of the devoted husband imploded. Hart Ventures' stock price cratered. Netizens unleashed torrents of outrage at him and Alex. He scrambled from one crisis call to the next, drowning I, meanwhile, was already airborne, heading north to watch the northern lights. Everything that followed reached me through Victoria. During the settlement, I demanded Sebastian pay me in a single lump sum. To raise it, he'd mortgaged every property he could scrape together. Now, with investors racing for the exits, an IPO was fantasy. Hart faced bankruptcy filing and a mountain of fresh debt. Former partners dodged his calls, terrified of contagion. He'd fallen from the clouds straight into hell, hiding from debt collectors with no bed to call his own. Decades of tasting ashes stretched ahead of him. As for Alex, the exposed branding her a homewrecker who got pregnant out of wedlock enraged her father. He publicly disowned her. Victoria, meanwhile, closed deal after deal, winning full control of Ellis. I trust the reward she promised me will be more than fair. Abroad, I changed numbers. Sebastian still hunted the new one down. At first, he rang daily, sobbing, begging me to come back and rescue him. When I never answered, the texts turned venomous, calling me every vile name he could spell. The mask was shredded. The man I'd loved for years had become this snarling mongrel. I couldn't superimpose the two images anymore. I accept that he once loved me, but his love carried impurities, diluted, cheap. All the numbness and hysteria of those years dissolved at last. A decade-long marathon of feeling ended at the finish line. Under the surreal northern lights, I let the last threads slip away. Infinite new life waited beyond them. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next episode.
1 month before the wedding, I discovered Chase had a childhood sweetheart. He gave her my hand-embroidered bridal gown and planned the whole ceremony for her. Later, I even saw his chat history. Was it worth it? You're sacrificing yourself. Keeping her close is the only way Jade can marry Adrian. I took a screenshot and sent it straight to Adrian. On the wedding day, I walked into the chapel on Adrian's arm. Chase, looking deranged, begged for 1 minute to explain. Before we go on, subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. The day I found out about the childhood sweetheart was supposed to be our first anniversary celebration. Chase came home balancing flowers and a cake. He kissed me before the door even shut, frantic, hungry. Then a call came through. He headed straight to the walk-in, lifted the gown I had embroidered and turned to leave. I caught his sleeve. What's wrong? What's so urgent? Only then did he seem to remember I existed. Ava, the diamonds I ordered just arrived. I want to set them on the gown myself. I slipped my arms around his waist. Can it wait? Tonight's our anniversary. He tapped the tip of my nose, voice soft. Ava, I just want to see you in this dress as soon as possible. Eat some cake and get to bed early. Watching his hurried steps, an uneasy feeling coiled in my stomach. After a few bites of the cloying cake, I lost interest. I wavered, then voice messaged a friend in his design department. Sorry to keep you guys up so late. What do you want for late night takeout? My treat. Huh, babe? I'm at karaoke, can't hear you. A blast of music came through, loud enough to make me dizzy. I switched to text. No one's pulling an all-nighter in design tonight. Nope. Whole building lost power. Best luck ever. I stopped reading. Suddenly my throat felt plugged by the same thick frosting. If no one was at the office, where exactly had Chase gone to set diamonds? At 5 a.m. Chase came back, exhausted yet strangely happy. Sorry, did I wake you? Up for breakfast. Only then did I notice the bags in his hand. Soup dumplings from the place I had adored in college. After graduation, on his advice, we'd bought a condo in the North End. I stopped by the factory to pick stones for our wedding bands. Thought of you. Guilt washed over me for last night's suspicions. After all, Chase had pursued me for 5 solid years. Even my roommates had sung his praises. He'd run my schedule and ration my meals, right down to bubble tea flavors. One roommate used to joke, Ava, you must have saved a galaxy in your past life to land a guy this devoted. A notification pinged. Chase grabbed the phone like it might vanish. Emergency? He locked the screen, kissed me, and stood. Contract trouble at Sterling. I have to run. I nodded, the good girlfriend. But before the phone went dark, I caught a reflection in his lenses. A live stream interface, female streamer. An urgent contract or an urgent girl. Once you notice a crack, the fissures multiply. Before I could snoop, the girl herself appeared on my feed. Local trending, rank 1. Hashtag bride hand embroiders her gown for love. I tapped the link. The first thing I saw was the red wedding dress, scarlet, blinding. Aside from the diamonds, it mirrored mine stitch for stitch. Don't flatter me, babies, I only studied embroidery a little. I chased him, glad it worked out. Our wedding's soon, I'll show him to you then. I stared at the girl in red. Nothing about her rang a bell, until the comments. Jade is so lucky. Wishing Jade lifelong happiness. Jade. My vision blacked at the edges. When Chase first met me, he'd called me Ava, and only Ava. I'd protested, but he'd said, everyone else calls you Ava or Jean. Ava is mine alone. 5 years of Ava, and it had never been me. Nothing about his affection had been exclusive. Calmly, I screenshotted the live stream. I sat on the couch and waited for Chase to come home. No, waited for him to come back, period. He swept in cuddly. Baby, miss me? He leaned in to kiss me. I turned away. I'm tired. His hands landed on my shoulders. How many times have I told you to rest more? Same old line. I used to smile and insist I was fine. Not today. Ava, let me kiss you. I'll melt the fatigue away. I said I'm exhausted. His patience snapped. I saw it flash across his face. Still, he dropped to one knee and produced a delicate ring. Custom wedding band. Rest early. I'm off to set the diamonds on the gown. Perfect excuse. No one could deny Chase's devotion. My friends called him husband material. I'd forgotten. Love can be performed convincingly. Chase, I think I saw that gown online today. Probably a copycat. You only embroidered for what, a few weeks? You must have used an existing pattern. He caught his own dismissiveness. Ava, I watched every hour you spent on it. Our wedding will be the one everyone envies. Chase seemed to have lost every shred of patience. He simply scooped up the ring and shoved it onto my finger. Then he turned and walked out the door. Chase really is a devoted actor. It's just that his professionalism comes and goes. After all, he hadn't even noticed the signature mark stitched into my wedding gown. And yet I'd been fooled for 5 whole years. I'd even lost myself in the part. Even though I knew he'd left to find Jade, I still wanted to see it with my own eyes. But I never expected him to step into a hotel ballroom, one that looked every inch a wedding venue. Chase and I had agreed to elope, no guests, no banquet. So a ballroom made no sense. Then I spotted Jade holding her phone mid-live stream. Suddenly everything clicked. The moment she saw Chase, Jade ended the broadcast. Well, does this wedding gown look gorgeous on me or what? A flicker of annoyance crossed Chase's face. I gave you the gown so you could keep a low profile, not show off. Once this ballroom's ready, we're square. Jade didn't seem bothered. She even reached up to stroke his cheek. I haven't married Adrian yet. And, do you really want to call it quits with me? Chase couldn't help himself, he pulled her close. In an instant the two of them were kissing like dry tinder meeting flame. The ballroom blazed with light, the bride in red, the groom devil in his suit. If there had been even one more witness, you'd have sworn it was a match made in heaven. In my memory, Chase used to beg for kisses too, but they were always soft, bloodless, like a kissing machine running on default settings. The man in front of me now looked alive, electric. When his hand brushed the wedding gown, he hesitated. Jade, stop pushing. You call her Ava too? Jade, just focus on your wedding. Jade kept smiling, arms locked around his waist. You know I have to marry him if I want to survive. You're not really falling for her, are you? Chase's gaze drilled into the red silk of her dress. He stayed silent a long time, but Jade wouldn't let it go. No, if it weren't for you, why would I chase her at all? What I didn't expect was that Chase would drag the haute couture bridal studio manager out of bed in the middle of the night, just to buy a gown. He showed the manager Jade's photo in the dress, and compared it to every finished piece in the workshop. Finally, he picked one that looked, to him, identical. At first glance, the substitute was perfect. But on mine, if you studied the embroidery, the pattern formed an abstract letter Q. I found the irony delicious. The first thing he does after cheating is try to buy me a brand new wedding gown. Baby, you rested? Your gown's diamonds are set. Wait for me at home. I want to be the first to see you in it. I stared at the message, then answered. I'm out grabbing late-night takeout. Let's meet at the office instead. The moment I hit send, Chase's face changed, but he still replied, Sure, kiss, see you soon. Sterling headquarters is north of the river. He was currently south. I tailed him the whole way, watched him gun through red after red just to save minutes. On a day this green, you'd think the lights would cooperate. But no, every signal wanted to bust him. Still, how long can Chase keep the act up? Oh, probably until Jade's wedding day. He showed up at the office carrying the gown. I texted again. Found a place I crave. Let's meet back home. I sat in the security room and watched the surveillance feed. The money tree in his office snapped in half. Then I got up and left. Soon enough, Chase appeared in front of me, smile pinned in place. Finished your snack, babe? Sorry, did I make you wait at the office for nothing? His grin froze mid-frame. Of course not, as long as you're happy. I'm delighted. He produced the gown from behind his back. Try it on. I took it with a smile. By the way, I'm changing. Why don't you grab a shower? You're sweaty. Hot night, huh? He swallowed, flustered, and retreated to the bedroom. I was about to spend the night in the guest room when a message popped up on my laptop. Chase's WhatsApp. What's up, man? Really getting married? You woke my whole crew for one dress. The sender was his childhood buddy Andy, famous for playing the field. During the years Chase chased me, Andy's reputation made Chase look like a saint. You of all people know the deal. Told you weeks ago to find me a match. How long does it take? That's love for you. Anything for your Jade. Same vowel start, Ava Jade, different destinies, huh? See? From day one I was the only one left in the dark. The rest of them watched the comedy from front row seats. Not gonna lie, your Jade is walking down the aisle. What's your endgame? Side dish for life. For once Andy and I were on the same page. No big deal. Jade wants the lock fortune, and Ava's decent enough. Only you, Mr. Sterling, calling a beauty like Ava decent. When do I get a shot? Go chase her yourself. Easy, be nice and she'll follow. Next morning I went back to that ballroom. I hadn't really looked the first time. Every light, every flower matched the dream wedding blueprint Jade had shown on her livestream. Running into Jade was accidental. And clearly unexpected for her too. You're Ava, right? Chase mentions you all the time. He's been helping me with the venue. Has that left you feeling ignored? Going by her smug tone, if she didn't need Chase to keep me on the hook, she would have flaunted this weeks ago. Lately Chase had been ice cold, buried in emergency overtime. At first I felt for him. Laid out his clothes, cooked every meal. Gradually he stopped bothering with excuses. Now I understood. While I hand-sewed our wedding garments, he was choosing flowers for Jade. While I prepped his macro-balanced dinners, he was delivering my gown to Jade. Even while I was dreaming about our future, he was setting up the wedding venue for Jade. We'd actually gone through Cold War stretches over things like this before. At the time I hadn't even figured out the real reason we were fighting. All I knew was that Chase kept coming to me with that sticky cute act to make up. Ava, what are you? She's an old family friend. Our parents were close, and my mom keeps asking me to look out for her. Childhood sweethearts. The classic trope. The first love beats the new girl every time. What did you just call me? Ava, of course. Isn't that? Oh, when you said Ava, were you talking to me or to her? Chase's brows slammed together. His face was terrifying. I didn't wait for an answer. I just wandered through the ballroom and talked. Those flowers are air-freighted white roses, right? They're gorgeous, but white is such bad luck. And these lights look like a rainbow threw up. From a distance you'd swear this was a nightclub. I pretty much critiqued the whole decor. After all, design is my specialty. Every comment I made drained a little more color from Jade's face. Pretty soon she matched the roses perfectly. The girl was trembling, on the verge of tears, prime damsel in distress material. The near-invisible Chase finally stepped in. Enough! Jade! Jade isn't feeling well. Let's go! I smiled sweetly. Before leaving I even offered Jade a few pro tips on staging. Chase's temper ignited the moment we cleared the doorway. He grabbed my wrist and dragged me into an empty restroom stall. How did you even know this place existed? You came here just to upset Jade? We're just friends. You never used to be like this, Ava. I told you before, don't call me Ava. I don't like it, especially not now. His fingers tightened. His voice shot up a pitch. Ava, can you stop acting crazy for 5 seconds? Ridiculous. The cheater was playing righteous. I opened my phone and sent him a screenshot from Jade's livestream. Recognize anything? My hand-embroidered bridal gown, borrowed flowers, fraudulent gift. He stared at the photo mute. Chase, you're a proper on-call puppy. She gives you one pat, and you come running. Mr. Pure Love Warrior, homewrecker extraordinaire. Even after we'd crashed that hard, Chase cooled off and offered to drive me home. He cooked 2 bowls of noodles and a pot of pear soup with his own hands. Tired of fighting? Drink something to soothe your throat. Chase is no chef. It had taken him a full month of begging my favorite noodle shop owner just to learn this recipe. I didn't say a word. I just ate my noodles in silence. Maybe he mistook my long habit of compromise for forgiveness, because once I stayed quiet, he started cooing at me again. Tomorrow I'll make you my new fried rice. You'll love it. I finished the broth in one swallow, still silent. The lease is up in 2 weeks. I'll be out. Keep the balance as payment for this bowl. He froze halfway through clearing the dishes. It's only one gown. The one I brought you is 100 times better, right? I carried my bowl to the sink myself. My handiwork is priceless. And why on earth would I want a man who mouths another woman? Chase detonated like a firecracker. Ava, you just have to keep accusing me. Accusing? First time I've seen you rewrite reality at will. For once he lost control in front of me, smashing a water glass against the floor. Shards flew, one cut my calf. Medical bill, don't forget. Oh, add the cost of the glass too. I parked my washed bowl on the rack and wiped my wet hand on his shirt. Then I thumbed another clip to him. The ballroom kiss, recorded by Adrian's security cameras. Sam, Chase. Still planning to question the footage. Who sent you this? Adrian, of course, his family owns the hotel. Chase, don't you think you're missing the actual point? He couldn't care less, fixated on Adrian's involvement. I was fed up. Yeah, it was Adrian. So what? That's not the issue. Of course it is. You're only blowing up at me because Adrian's into you, right? Land a billionaire and you can't kick me fast enough. Today I finally met the real Chase. So I forced you to deliver my bridal gown to your little childhood love? I ordered you to race to her venue at midnight and kiss her senseless? I sent you on your noble quest to be the other man. My temper finally flared. Maybe I went a hair overboard, but everything I said was true. Chase snapped, throwing a punch, only to redirect it into the counter. Ava, Jade and I are innocent. One uncontrolled kiss. I'll apologize for that, okay? One uncontrolled kiss. He dusted it off like lint. Classic. I ignored him, walked out of the kitchen and started packing. He pitched a tantrum like a kid denied candy. Ava, dumping me won't make you Mrs. Locke. You'll never get past their front gate. Happy to be Adrian's secret plaything? You're dirt cheap. I slapped him. Not just for the years I'd been blind, but for every filthy syllable. He'd earned it. We're even. Out on the sidewalk I messaged. I accept your offer. And I dropped the pin for the nearest harbor brew. I hadn't expected Jade to show up first. So you actually broke up with Chase. I assumed he'd text you the second it happened. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. I lifted a hand. Sorry, I'm waiting for someone, Jamie, save it. And yes, I split with Chase because of you. Only because of you. But because of you, I was lucky enough to meet someone. He says he's loved me for a very, very long time, and that, just like Chase, he's ready to give up his fiancée for me. Guess who he is? Ava, what are you doing? That was fast. I hadn't missed his texting fingers. I simply figured some things might as well be dragged into the light sooner rather than later. No harm in that. Nothing much, just chatting with him. Right. No, Ava, Miss Sterling, please listen. Chase and I really have nothing going on. Don't let me come between you two. You're getting married, aren't you? A textbook egoist. Since I couldn't settle the score right away, I might as well collect every ounce of anger owed to me. I sat down calmly and took a sip of my coffee. And you? What do you think? I looked at Chase, the same cheek I'd slapped not long ago. Ava, you heard her. There's nothing between Quinn and me. Everything was an accident. You have to trust me a little. No wonder the slap mark had vanished. Turns out Chase's skin is bullet thick. But, my wedding gown. I'll give it back. I shook my head in mock helplessness. A hand-embroidered gown is supposed to bring blessings, sure. Only I remember Quinn already wore mine, and back home that's considered terrible luck. Without a second thought, Jade offered to embroider a brand new one, as her wedding gift to Chase and me. Reading Adrian's message on my phone, I pretended to hesitate, then agreed. I stood to leave. Ava, if you've forgiven me, why are you still walking out? I brushed off his hand. The bride and groom can't see each other before the ceremony. Adrian handed me a moist towelette. I wiped my hands. What's up? Why are they all here? Nothing much. I just got tired of holding back, so I spiced up your plan. Adrian, Jade's fiancé. For all Chase's talk about loving me for years and years, the first time we actually met Adrian was the night we caught Chase kissing Jade. The banquet hall should have held only the three of us. Then a hand covered my eyes. Only after he led me outside did I see him clearly. Hi, I'm Adrian, Jade's arranged match. That same night he floated a proposal. I turned him down. I hadn't planned to blow everything sky high. Tired? Let's hear something entertaining then. He tapped the car's Bluetooth. The next moment, the familiar voices of Chase and Jade filled the space. Jade, you've really outdone yourself. Chase, don't sulk. You know I can't lose Adrian, the big fish. Besides, you do like Ava well enough, don't you? At least she's cleaner than the girls you pick up, right? Chase stayed silent for a long while. Only when Jade called his name repeatedly did he answer, indifferent. Clean, so what? She's like a dead fish, though that face of hers does flirt with every guy out there. I calmly switched off the Bluetooth. You bugged Jade. Not at all. I just happen to own that cafe. I still don't get why Adrian, fully capable of handling this alone, chooses to play this circus out with me. And I've never figured out why Jade is so dead certain Adrian is in love with me. The night before Jade's wedding, she came to me clutching the finished gown. Miss Sterling, my hand-embroidered wedding gown. Also, I apologize for overstepping earlier. Chase and I truly have nothing between us. Your wedding. Relax. With the gown ready, my ceremony will start on time. I glanced at the phone propped on the desk and gave her the reassurance she wanted. By the way, his reception is at a Lock hotel, right? My gift will be hand-delivered tomorrow. Don't forget to sign for it. Jade's face stiffened, but she agreed without blowing up. I watched her stumble toward the exit, already thumbing her phone. I knew she was tipping off Chase. Perfect, exactly what I wanted. On the wedding day, I wore the haute couture bridal gown Adrian had sent, paired it with a reliable pair of sneakers, and stepped into Jade's banquet hall. Ava, what is this supposed to mean? Oh, forgot to mention, I'm also getting married today. In the next ballroom, just thought I'd see you off first. Sorry, I mean see you off? Jade only shot me a glare, then frantically scrolled through her phone. After all, if the groom never shows, the wedding becomes a total joke. Could the groom be running late? Ava, why are you here? Chase arrived right on cue, reeking of booze, beard stubble, hardly groom material. Ava, what's the meaning of this? He grabbed my wrist in panic. Quinn, guests, venue, and groom, everything's ready. Aren't you going through with it? Jade exploded. Ava! But the next second, reporters flooded the hall. I wiggled my phone. Oops, yesterday's live stream accidentally caught Quinn on camera. When the internet's hottest bride ties the knot, the press is bound to crash the party. Facing the cameras, Jade hesitated, then finally walked toward Chase. Chase, help me. What I didn't expect. Chase refused hard. Ava, our wedding's being planned. Can we stop the drama, please? Drama? So in Chase's eyes, everything I'd done was just child's play. He probably even thought it was all to win him back. Mr. Sterling, your bride is over there. Me. I'm Adrian's bride today. Adrian strolled in, fashionably late, of course. Told you the new ballroom is down the hall. No need to bring bad luck in here. You were late, so I found myself a little entertainment. He produced a velvet box. Your ring turned out to be one of a kind. Took forever to hunt down. I admired the ring he slipped onto my finger, then clapped my hands lightly. Well then. Sorry, phone call. Listening, I felt a stab of disappointment. When the line went dead, I took the paper bag I'd given the waiter earlier. Here, consider this my wedding gift to you now. I watched Jade pull her own wedding gown from the bag. What are you doing? Had to list it online, but folks said the quality was too trash, even paying them to take it was a no-go. Jade's face drained of color, her body swaying as though a gust might topple her. Adrian, who had watched the entire scene from the sidelines, finally spoke. Ava, it's time to head to our wedding venue. Adrian, who gave you the right to marry Ava? You think you're some kind of prize? It seems Chase still wants to offer his personal congratulations. Let's borrow this ballroom for our ceremony then. Adrian's tone stayed calm as he gestured for staff to bring over the officiant and bouquets from next door. Then Adrian, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, do you take Ava to be your wife? I do. Adrian's voice trembled slightly, but the words rang unshakable. And Ava, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, do you take Emery to be your husband? I cradled the bouquet of baby's breath I loved most and curved my lips. I don't. Ava. Two voices overlapped, one frantic, one almost delighted. I knew it. You only did this to make me jealous, right? Ava, I love you. Jade and I are really over. If I didn't love you, why would I plot such a huge game with Jade? Chase looked like a fool drunk on his own script, babbling to spotlight his so-called devotion. Sadly, his affection always arrived at the wrong hour. Chase, this is the last time I'll say it. We're done. As for today's wedding, it wasn't for you, it was for Adrian Emery. Only when my gaze shifted to Adrian did the frozen statue finally thaw. Ava, what are you doing? This is our wedding day. We agreed we'd have a grand one. I didn't answer directly. I answered beside the point. Mr. Locke dragged me onto this stage for exactly this spectacle, didn't he? Well, congratulations, wish fulfilled. You figured it all out. Actually, the moment I learned Chase chased me only because I blocked the Locke, Vance merger engagement, I began to suspect who had seeded the rumor that Adrian loved me. Adrian has always guarded his reputation. How could he let such gossip stick? So, after eliminating every impossible option, the remaining improbable answer was the only one left. Adrian had staged the entire drama. His goal? Cost-free annulment of his engagement to Jade. Boring. This farce needed to end. I lifted my hem and strode toward the ballroom doors. I've settled with the press. Only Jade's groom swap on her wedding day will make headlines. Nice ring. It's mine now, call it my fee. Oh, and bill the reporters to Lock Industries. Goodbye, trio. The ridiculous four-person circus was finally over. When Adrian came running back, I was packing my suitcase. Ava, we agreed to try dating first. Adrian, been in character so long you forgot it's a play? The second you drafted me into your script, any chance between us died. I get it. Lock Industries is public. A marriage shakeup rattles share prices. I still don't know why you picked me, but it no longer matters. I quietly wheeled my bag out the door. All that talk of waiting years, loving me forever, fabricated so Jade would aim at a moving target. That afternoon I cashed the ticket I'd booked days earlier and reached Harborview Airport. I hadn't expected to find Chase in the lounge. Ava, I told you I hate that nickname. Sterling. Ava, I really didn't. I sat, smiling. Chase, I don't care anymore. Whatever the truth, I'm past it, so spare me the explanations. Ava, I truly love you, I can't. I cut him off. Chase, maybe see a therapist. Love, you wouldn't recognize it. You keep mistaking your selfish possessiveness for affection. I slipped him a business card. My classmate, top psychiatrist. Mention my name for a discount. Ava, I met Jade again at a design symposium after I returned home. She wore a server's uniform. Layers of foundation couldn't mask the bruises of sleepless nights. Her stare stayed venomous. I felt the hatred radiating, but too many academics and students milled around for her to act. I kept my composure and exited the hall, stopping only on an empty stairwell, within clear camera range. Long time no see, Quinn. Ava, how dare you greet me like nothing happened? Because of you my family went bankrupt. Because of you I couldn't marry Adrian. Because of you Chase refuses to see me. Such self-love, 3 crimes pinned on me in one breath. Jade, is your life orbiting Adrian and Chase? Do you exist for 2 men? Easy for you to sneer, you're standing on top today. Stubborn to the core. I said nothing more. I wouldn't waste another second. Ava, you deserve to die. Jade whipped out a fruit knife and lunged. Ava! Ava! 2 shouts rang out, followed by Jade's shriek. My taekwondo coach had praised my progress lately. You win, did you? I knew what she meant. I learned it abroad. Jade, you wallow in self-pity and blame every failure on an outsider, pouring your life into hatred and resentment. Pathetic. Jade got 4 years for attempted murder. After the police led her away, I smoothed my clothes. Without glancing at the 2 men behind me, I smiled and discussed future collections with the symposium director. I am myself first, someone something second. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked the video, please like and share. We look forward to your comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.
On the morning of our society wedding of the decade, the woman Adrian kept hidden in his heart slit her wrists. I clutched the hem of his tux. Please, don't go. He pried my fingers off, one by one. Stop it. Luna needs me now. I watched his back disappear down the aisle and laughed until my eyes burned crimson. If you feel nothing, I'm done. Adrian, this time I'm the one throwing you away. Before we go any further, hit subscribe on this channel and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. The sky hung low and ash gray the day we buried Theodore. Half of Eastbrook showed up. Bess tugged my sleeve. Adrian's here. A mocking smile curled my mouth. 1 full month since he'd left me at the altar, I'd assumed he'd dropped off the face of the earth. His low voice broke the hush. Sorry I'm late. I turned slowly, lifted my hand, and cracked a ringing slap across his face in front of everyone. Adrian's head snapped sideways. Serena, enough. I met his eyes with ice. On your knees. The crowned prince of the Cross family, born to own the world, kneel? Never. He strode straight to Theodore's headstone and laid down the white lilies in his hand. Theodore, I'll keep the promise I made. Rest easy. A cold laugh tore out of me. So you do remember what you swore to him. The Vance and Cross clans had been allies for 3 generations. We'd grown up in each other's backyards. Everyone in the old money elite knew I'd loved Adrian down to my marrow, so hard I'd followed him to college abroad, then signed on as his executive assistant, until he finally called me his girlfriend. That he was also keeping a delicate little side flower had never been a secret. 3 months ago, Theodore took a turn for the worse. Adrian visited the hospital and struck a bargain at the foot of the bed, marry me, and the South Shore parcel would come to the marriage as my dowry, that priceless slice of coastline every developer in Connecticut was salivating over. Adrian nodded. He vowed to treat me well, to give me the society wedding of the decade. The moment he left, I collapsed at Theodore's bedside. I won't marry, not now. I'll stay with you till you're better. Theodore lifted a trembling hand to my hair. Once I'm gone, only he can shield you. Let me die in peace, be happy. My parents had died in a mid-air collision when I was 5, Theodore raised me. When he passed, the conglomerate and the fortune would drop me naked into a shark tank. Adrian was his chosen shield, and would reap a fortune for the role. He assumed profit plus 20 years of shared memories would buy Adrian's loyalty. He'd misjudged. I stared at the man in front of me, midnight black suit, chiseled face, the same aloof nobility I once worshipped. The deeper the love had been, the darker the hate that replaced it. I was hollow with exhaustion. Get lost. I never want to see you again. He caught my wrist and whispered against my ear, when Luna's stable, I'll give you the wedding you deserve. It was so absurd I laughed out loud. Word by word I said, tell Luna I don't do second-hand. May she enjoy the salvage. Fury flashed in his eyes, he yanked me off balance. An arm locked around my waist and hauled me backward into a hard chest. Mr. Cross, treat my wife with respect. Julian had arrived. I let my lashes fall and leaned into him. Adrian's face darkened. Have you lost your mind? Julian tilted my chin up with 2 fingers, flashing Adrian a predator smile. Look again, whose woman is she now? He bent and kissed me. I closed my eyes. Adrian narrowed his gaze. You're using him to punish me? It won't work, you know I hate games. He lifted a brow and beckoned, certain as ever. Come here. He still believed I'd come running. How sweet privilege tastes. I stayed in Julian's arms. You walked out, so I swapped grooms. 30 minutes before the ceremony, Luna's call came through. Adrian answered in front of me. I watched his expression chill, watched the tenderness creep into his eyes. I'll be right there, he told her. I looked up. The aisle is in half an hour. We'll postpone. We'll reschedule. Every gossip blog in Manhattan is outside. Cancel now and I become the laughingstock of the Eastern Seaboard. Theodore took an experimental drug trial just to stay alive long enough to give me away. He cut me off, frantic. Luna tried to kill herself. She's coding in Kingston General. I have to go, I finally shattered. If she's dying, what the hell is that to me? He spun toward the exit. I grabbed his jacket one last time. Don't. He peeled my hand away. No time. Don't do this. Pain strangled my breath, my nails dug crescents into my palms. If you walk, stay gone. His stride hitched for a heartbeat, then he left me for her. I tilted my chin so the tears wouldn't fall, my chest an empty crater. This was the boy I'd loved, wrong address, wrong lifetime. My assistant's voice cracked. Do I tell the guests it's off? I wasn't afraid of scandal, I was afraid the shock would kill Theodore. I dropped my gaze to the marble floor. Fetch Julian. He sauntered in, leaning against the doorframe like sin in a tux. Calling me 5 minutes before showtime, naughty. Planning a quickie in the vestry? I finished the final stroke of my eyeliner. Not out of the question. He choked on his own smirk. I slapped the emergency contract my assistant had drafted onto the vanity. Stand in for the ceremony, the South Shore parcel is yours. Where's Adrian? Dead to me. He laughed, delighted. Music to my ears. We were evenly matched heirs, one icy perfectionist, one unrepentant renegade. Magnets flipped the wrong way since prep school. I'd run out of roads, he was the last bridge. We'd also slept together a handful of times, convenient memories. Everyone believed I was Adrian's forever doormat, the truth was more complicated. I lowered my lashes. 15 minutes. Find someone else if you're not game, I'm in. He flipped the contract shut. But no mock marriage. We signed the certificate before the honeymoon. Done. A last-minute groom swap, and the ceremony rolled on amid gasping pro-clutchers. When the rings were about to slide on, the crosses finally snapped. Richard shot to his feet. This was supposed to be your wedding with Adrian. You can't just swap in another man. I laughed lightly. Then, Uncle, do you happen to know where Adrian is right now? I took the mic from the officiant. Adrian's mistress Luna tried to kill herself. He's somewhere over Pennsylvania on his way to Kingston. From this second on, he and I are nothing but strangers. A disloyal, filthy man like that? I, Serena, don't want him. Every cross in the chapel looked ready to vomit. Victoria actually fainted clean away. Overnight, Adrian's reputation face-planted, and the family paid 7 figures to scrub the mess off the gossip blogs. I've never been some doormat. He showed no mercy, so neither will I. I'll make Luna realize certain circles aren't open admission, and the old money elite road is paved with broken stilettos. The next day the Crosses issued a formal statement. Luna is a calculating homewrecker. She will never be acknowledged, and she'll cross that threshold only over their dead bodies. After we left the funeral on opposite sides of the aisle, Adrian didn't call for an entire month. Typical, every past fight ended with me crawling back. Too bad for him, this time I'm not turning around. I grabbed the keys to Vance Holdings the same afternoon and started building my own empire. I'd been his chief of staff for 4 years. I've stared down hostile boards and Senate subcommittees, so settling into the chairman's seat was almost boring. The cousins circling like vultures backed off the moment they remembered Julian's reputation for annihilating anyone who touches what's his. Life was finally trending upward when the internet exploded with a fresh headline: "Jilted trophy wife abandoned at altar." It painted me as the bitter cast-off, Adrian and Luna as star-crossed soulmates, and me as the cartoon villainess who tried to stand in their way. Traffic went through the roof, hashtags multiplied like fruit flies. Before I could even draft a cease and desist, Julian posted our marriage certificate on Instagram, plus a photo of me at 18 in my Eastbrook blazer. The woman I've loved for half my life. Since when does Adrian get to dump her? One rock, 1,000 ripples, peaked Julian. I curved my lips, added the only couple selfie we've ever taken, and captioned it, "I was blind for a while. Fortunately the surgery was successful." The narrative flipped faster than a pageant queen's hair flip, and my phone lit up minutes later. Adrian calling. I declined. That night Buddy was throwing a birthday bash at the Velvet Room, and Julian swung by to collect me. Once we were in the back seat, I studied the sharp line of his jaw and blinked slowly. "You've been pining for me all along, haven't you?" He choked on his own breath. "Anyway, you're my wife now." We walked into the VIP lounge and I spotted Adrian immediately, glowering in a corner, a black hole no socialite dared orbit. Julian flicked a warning glare at the host. The guy spread his hands. "I didn't invite him, gatecrasher." Julian's arm circled my waist as we approached. Adrian stood, eyes drilling into me. "Stop the theatrics and come home." I lifted my chin. "So you're volunteering to be the other man now?" "Serena, no need to shout, I'm not deaf." My voice iced over. "I'm married. Kindly remember your place and spare us the tired lines." Adrian snapped, stormed forward, and clamped my wrist, dragging me toward the exit. "Did you fail kindergarten English?" Julian seized my other arm, anchoring me. Adrian stared down at me, voice raw. "A wedding, fine, I'll give you another one. Let go." The word dripped acid. "I told you, crawl away, don't crawl back." "Adrian, the internet has a saying, late-stage devotion is cheaper than grass." His face turned corpse pale. "Serena, you better not regret this." He left alone, shoulders sagging. Julian massaged the red crescents on my wrist and muttered, "Man's a walking jinx." By morning the Velvet Room showdown was headline fodder. I never expected Luna would still dare come knocking. We met at the cafe outside Eastbrook's gates, the same spot where she used to study off one shared muffin. I arrived on time. Years had passed since I'd seen the scholarship girl who once glowed despite second-hand uniforms. Now she dripped Hermes, head-to-toe labels, yet something in her eyes looked starved. She smiled gently. "You're still ridiculously beautiful." I sat, unimpressed. "You, on the other hand, are underwhelming." I expected more. I meant it. The girl who clawed her way out on grit and SAT flashcards had spark. That resolve was why she became Adrian's first love who got away. He used to ramble about her feral energy, how she grew through concrete, so different from trust fund orchids like us. To him she was exotic, untouched. The one who got away always tastes sweeter. Their teenage almost love combusted the moment they met again. Luna's laugh was brittle. "I've always envied you. Pretty, loaded, everyone fawning, nothing out of reach. So you stole Adrian to level the field?" "I didn't steal." Her chin jerked. "We liked each other first, long before you two dated." I wanted to gag. "You were sexting him while I was still his girlfriend. That's vulgar." Color drained from her face. I know you still love him, but forcing it won't make it real. I flashed the rock on my left hand. My husband is hotter, richer, and loyal. Why would I sniff yesterday's trash? Keep me out of your circus. If you're so irresistible, make him marry you. I stood to leave, she lunged and clutched my sleeve. I can't lose him. Not my puppy, not my problem. Tears rimmed her lashes. You're still untouchable, and that distance makes him obsessed, guilty. You win without trying. I wondered which therapist she'd bypassed. Project much? Sounds like he's just cheap. She dropped to her knees with a hollow thud, fingers scrabbling at my hem. I was wrong, I shouldn't have hungered for what's yours or fought you for Adrian. I love him too much, please, forgive me. Before I could decide whether to laugh or call security, Adrian stormed in, hauling her upright. Don't kneel to her. You've done nothing wrong. I looked at their Romeo and Juliet routine and curled my lip. Flies love split fruit, the real fault lies with the greedy maggot who wants both slices. Adrian stepped in front of her like a shield, his face a conflicted mask of accusation. Serena, you're the one who wanted my love. I let out a short, mocking laugh. Sure, when I was young and stupid I liked you. But I've never been the kind of girl who can't live without a man. If you'd been honest with me sooner, do you really think I would have clung to you like some lovesick groupie? All these years you basked in my affection and my chase. You kept handing me hope, giving me just enough mixed signals to keep me hooked. Don't treat me like an idiot, Adrian. The sleazy one has always been you. His carefully polished mask cracked, and a flash of shame flickered in his eyes. Our families were always going to merge through marriage anyway. Then congratulations, you're finally free. I'm Julian's wife now. Adrian grabbed my wrist, unwilling to let go. We need to talk, really talk. Luna clutched her belly, looking pitiful. My stomach hurts, I gave a half smile. Adrian, don't be greedy. You already chose your true love, so stop fantasizing about the perks you'd get by marrying me. Born into old money dynasties and groomed since birth, how could any of us be fools? His plan had always been to have it both ways. I stood for profit, for equal pedigree, for the kind of wife who'd look perfect on his arm and could push his career even higher. Luna was the first love he kept hidden in the dark, his little soul mate he could spoil, but nothing more. He'd simply banked on the fact that I loved him too much to walk away. Over the years I'd spoiled him and fed his delusions, so when news of Luna's emergency reached him, he dropped me without a second thought, certain he could coax me back later, sure I'd still be standing on the same spot, waiting, but I was tired of the game. Luna's short skirt couldn't hide the thin trickle of blood sliding down her thigh. Panic twisted her face. It hurts, Adrian, it really hurts. He swept her into his arms, then glanced back at me. Go get the car. I hated taking orders from her, but the bleeding wasn't normal, and a guess had already formed in my mind. To confirm it, I drove them to the hospital myself. The minute we arrived she was rushed into the ER. An hour later the doctor emerged, scolding, she's over 2 months pregnant. The baby almost didn't make it. She has to be extremely careful at this stage. After he left I gave a cold half-laugh. 2 months. That timing lines up perfectly with when Theodore was dying and you promised to marry me and treat me well. People who trample true feelings deserve to swallow 1,000 needles. One day karma will bite you, Adrian. His expression was strange, no joy about the baby at all. He studied me for a moment, then said suddenly, if you can't accept the child, I can end the pregnancy. Nice try, dumping the blame on me. I reminded him solemnly, I no longer have a single cent of connection to you. Whether you keep the baby or not means nothing to me, so don't use me as your excuse. I didn't leave right away. I waited until Luna woke up. While Adrian was called off by the doctor, I repeated his words to her. Luna got emotional. Impossible. You're lying, he would never reject our baby. Believe what you want, I said flatly. I told you only so you understand, keeping or losing this child is your business, not mine. Don't splash mud on my shoes. She clenched her fists, eyes swirling with mixed feelings. I hope you'll stop seeing Adrian from now on. I want to give my child a whole family. A ridiculous demand, and I had no intention of indulging it. The Vance and Cross families have been friends for generations, we move in the same circles. Business will throw us together. Why should I dodge either of you? Get one thing straight, you two owe me, not the other way around. Still, she was only a pitiful woman. I gave her a pitying glance. Even without my help her days would be rough. The Crosses were no pushovers, pinning her hopes on a baby to open their door would probably shatter like glass. After that day I blocked both of their numbers, yet gossip kept trickling in. Word of Luna's pregnancy reached the Cross mansion fast. Victoria stormed over, humiliating her outright. Don't imagine a baby buys you a ticket inside. Even if you give birth, the Cross family will never acknowledge the child. As for Adrian, he didn't fight to the end for love, as everyone had expected. He didn't insist on marrying her. Best sighed while filling me in on the latest. Luna's still too naive. In our world, how much is true love actually worth? How many grand passions end with a man marrying a pedigree equal to his once he's had his fun? Brutal, but reality. I replied coolly, maybe she thought she was the exception, the one who'd make it to the finish line. Best chuckled. Just wait, the drama's far from over. We can sit back and enjoy. Speaking of which, are you going to Victoria's gala birthday dinner? Of course. Skipping it would look like guilt. When the night arrived I walked in on Julian's arm, dressed to kill. At the entrance we spotted Luna in a white dress, stopped by security. I'm Adrian's girlfriend, she pleaded. Please let me in. I swept my gaze over her and moved on, brushing past Adrian as he hurried out. Inside, I handed Victoria the gift I'd personally selected. Happy birthday, Mrs. Cross. She looked at me with regret in her eyes. Not having you as my daughter-in-law will always be Adrian's loss. Luna, who'd trailed Adrian in, turned pale. She offered her own carefully wrapped present with both hands. Ma'am, I don't accept gifts from just anyone, Victoria cut her off, refusing to even touch it. Luna withdrew the box, cheeks burning, barely holding back tears. In front of her, Victoria linked arms with me and told me warmly to eat, drink, and enjoy myself, then snapped at Adrian, stop dragging strays in here. Not everyone is welcome, I'd had enough. I rolled my eyes and led Julian away. Julian whispered smugly in my ear, see? He's trash. I'm better, and I guarantee satisfaction day and night. I twisted his arm. Keep it up, then, or I'll kick you to the curb. When the champagne had flowed for a couple of rounds, Julian was pulled into conversation. My feet aching in stilettos, I retreated to a corner sofa. Serena, you betrayed me long ago, didn't you? Adrian materialized like a ghost. I lifted my head and laughed. You think you have the right to question me? His eyes blazed. Half a year ago in Southport you were already tangled up with Julian, while you were busy in bed with Luna? Sorry, I didn't realize I was supposed to stay celibate for you. Back then I was with him on a business trip to the south side, burning up with fever stuck at 103, when a single call from Luna sent him sprinting to the airport in the middle of the night, leaving me behind. Julian showed up at my hotel out of nowhere, all bark and no bite, and nursed me through the worst of it. The space between us shrank overnight. That was the first time I sensed how he really felt. A week later, the fever finally broke. I opened Instagram and found Luna's not-so-subtle love brag post. She never mentioned Adrian by name, yet every line screamed, while you were sick and alone, we were deliriously happy. That night I drank myself blind. Julian looked at me like I was hopeless. Snap your fingers, any guy in this city would crawl over broken glass for you, you included? 2 consenting adults, taking what we needed. The next morning I phoned Adrian and said it was over. He chalked it up to a tantrum and forgot about it. We spent 2 months in a cold war. Then Theodore crashed into the ICU and everything else blurred. As the monitors flatlined closer to zero, Vance Holdings started to list like a ship in a hurricane. He decided to hand me to the Cross family while he still could. Theodore squeezed my hand. When I'm gone you'll inherit the company and every share of the estate. Every jackal in Connecticut will circle. I can't leave you unprotected. I stared at the floor. Grandpa, I'll guard it, all of it. He sighed. I don't want you carved hollow by the fight. Your old man and Richard Cross spilled blood together in Nam. He watched you grow up, he'll make sure nobody gets you. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, then said yes to the marriage. Adrian hadn't expected me to accept so fast. Did you ever love me at all? I did, once. Then you picked Luna over me again and again until there was nothing left to love. Silence swallowed the room, we looked at anything but each other. Luna rushed over, voice shrill. What are you two doing? Talking, I said coolly. Too many shocks in one night, Luna cracked. Miss Vance, I know you're bitter, but you're married now. Stay away from Adrian. I let a thin smile graze my lips. Trying to mark your territory? You're barking up the wrong X, she snapped. I'm his girlfriend, please, just leave us alone. Hilarious, like I was the stage 5 clinger. I stood, took the glass of Barolo from the table, and poured it slowly over her head. Feel cleaner now? Let's drop the delusion. Everyone here knows exactly who flung herself at a taken man. You fished my throwback out of the trash and crowned it Prince Charming. Sorry, not everyone suffers from the same tunnel vision. A ripple of laughter broke through the crowd. Wow, want the tiara with that mattress tag still attached, girlfriend? Funny, I don't recall anyone confirming that title. Plenty of wannabes floating around, each sure she'll be the one to cash in. The room was pure Eastbrook royalty, and I'd grown up in it. Within seconds a couple of my old boarding school crew stepped in on my behalf. Luna bit her lip, shaking, face the color of old parchment. Julian appeared, plucked the empty glass from my fingers. Next time you need somebody drenched, let your husband handle the heavy lifting. Luna lashed at him. Everybody knows Serena's always loved Adrian. You honestly don't mind being the rebound? I arched a brow, nice try. Julian snorted. Spare me the fairy tale rewrite. I've known her since we were 3. I know exactly who she is, you don't get to preach. I flicked my gaze to her belly. Instead of obsessing over my marriage, worry about your kid, born into the world with love child stamped on the birth certificate. Luna couldn't take another hit, she spun away and ran through the whispers. I stared Adrian down, every word a hammer. Listen up. I stopped loving you ages ago. Keep your girlfriend on a leash and both of you out of my life. And, thank you for the glorious favor of not marrying me. Adrian flinched, hand pressed to his chest as he stumbled back a step. Julian and I walked out, this time I didn't look back. After the gala, whether piqued by pride or plain spite, Adrian launched a savage assault on Vance Holdings. I barely kept us afloat, finally yanking away several of his marquee clients using the network I'd built while I was at his side. Those 4 years I'd swallowed vodka until my stomach lining bled, flown 3 continents in a week, pulled all-nighters that turned into all-weekers. Now the investment paid compound interest. He hadn't expected me to hit back so hard. Adrian retaliated like a madman. He glared at me like I'd murdered his last illusion. Serena, I misread you. Wings fully spread, huh? Guess you learned plenty while you were mine. I shrugged. What did you think? I was volunteering or breastfeeding your ego? I walked into Cross Industries to learn, not to audition for First Lady of your fan club. Sure, the proximity had offered a shot at something more, but never the headline the blogs invented. I'd always known the only safety net worth trusting was the one I wove myself. If I'd stayed the pampered heiress, I'd never have survived the hurricane Theodore left behind. Adrian gave a bitter laugh. Turns out you never loved me, just sold a 3 out of 10 performance as a perfect 10. Fooled us all. Love doesn't require me to shred my spine. You proved, conclusively, that you weren't worth the discount. He looked hollowed out, turned, and walked away. Julian cracked his knuckles. Say the word, wife, let's tag team and bury him. I was still weighing the offer when Richard Cross, long retired, living in Normandy, landed unannounced at Teterboro. I made it to the Vance family mausoleum just as Adrian dropped to his knees in the gravel. Mr. Cross, what? Richard gave me the gentle smile he'd gifted me every Christmas of my childhood. Sorry I arrived too late, sweetheart. Then he swung his cane hard across Adrian's back. I warned you, pick a lane and stay in it. Only cowards cry foul after they crash the car. Adrian didn't bend, back ramrod straight, he snarled, she said she loved me, then knifed me in the ribs. Why am I the villain? His father's face sagged with disappointment. Love isn't a bottomless well, it dries up when the bucket keeps coming back poisoned. And what's left for a spoiled brat to deserve? You've competed with Julian since kindergarten, face it, son, you lost. Dad. Richard ignored him. Over supper he told me Theodore was gone but he was still here. If anyone ever tried to push me around again, all I had to do was call. Adrian, he said, would be dealt with. My job was simply to keep winning. I guess Theodore hadn't entirely misjudged me. Handing me to the Cross family had made some sense after all. Before long the Cross family announced that Adrian would be shipped overseas on business. Everyone in the industry knew it was exile for the former crown prince. There were other sons. If he couldn't measure up, someone else would. TSK, Best muttered. Booted abroad for a woman, he lost big time. I wasn't the least surprised. The heir the Crosses always banked on was the eldest son. He'd simply been so pampered people assumed the golden boy had it locked. For years as his assistant had showed me plainly, he had ambition, just never enough to outmaneuver that quietly lethal older brother. Best couldn't resist speculating. Think he'll drag Luna with him? If it's true love, of course he will. I bet no, another friend chimed in. Their so-called romance won't survive this mess. I shrugged. Who knows? Before Adrian left he asked to see me. I refused flat out. That evening he blocked my car on the drive home. Ms. Vance, should I go talk to him? The driver asked, uneasy. Ignore him. The driver eased the car to the curb so we wouldn't block traffic. The rain came down harder. Within minutes he was drenched. I watched coldly, unmoved. Let him taste what waiting feels like. After an hour he staggered, almost collapsing. You hate me that much? So much you won't even look at me? But I need to see you. I have to say something before I go. Ma'am, the storm's brutal, he could get sick, the driver murmured. Only then did I push the door open, umbrella in hand, and walk over. He was a soaked wreck, gaunt, haggard, nothing left of the cocky boy who used to own every room. Word was he'd tried to drink himself to death at the Velvet Room, winding up in the hospital with a stomach pump. Word was Luna had lost the baby, and the two of them screamed at each other until every trace of sweetness curdled. Real life, it turns out, hands out very few fairy tales. I didn't really want to see you, I said flatly. He gave a wan smile. You flipped the switch just like that, Serena, you're ruthless. Ruthless? I tucked windblown hair behind my ear. You're the one who took me for granted. He sighed, the words scraping out. I regret it, Serena. Some people are like oxygen. While they're around you barely notice them, but once they're gone you can't breathe, can't think, can't stop hurting. I wasn't incapable of love, I'd just forgotten how to cherish you. I assumed whenever I turned around you'd be right there waiting. I listened without pain, without thrill, only a faint amusement. Loss really is the great teacher, isn't it? I'm happy now. The light in his eyes died by degrees. He pulled me into a sad, fleeting hug, hot tears dripped onto my neck. I'm sorry. I stood motionless, watching him walk away, out of my life for good. Goodbye, forever. Adrian never made that flight. The night before departure a hysterical Luna stabbed him, he bled out on the floor and slipped into a coma. Police dragged her away, she raved like a broken doll. When Adrian finally woke he refused to press charges. Their twisted story ended right there. I ran into Luna months later at an art opening. She was reed-thin in a plain cotton dress, staring at a canvas. I would have passed without a glance, but she called, Serena, something you need? She smiled uglier than a sob. I schemed with everything I had, and still lost it all. For once I was curious. I bought 2 coffees, and we sat outside while she talked. The first time I saw him I was hooked. Someone that dazzling is hard not to love. I crept close, flashed my stubborn, small-town fighter side, reeled him in, then stepped back so he couldn't stop thinking about me. I stupidly believed if I worked hard enough I'd become someone who could stand beside him. But your world was too fast, too steep, I couldn't keep up. Our chance reunion? Staged. Every time he dropped you to run to me I felt triumphant. I told myself it meant he truly loved me. When your wedding invitation arrived I imploded. I couldn't lose him. She laughed at herself. I thought I'd won, that he'd chosen me over you. One misstep, then another, until I was in too deep to climb out. I listened, pity out of reach. Betting your whole life on a man is the biggest gamble, and the dumbest. You could have been brilliant on your own terms. The moment I saw you I felt small and green with envy, Luna whispered. When I finally stole Adrian, I was smug. I wanted more, your shine, your ease, your world. I couldn't relate, and I couldn't forgive. I only said, we all pay for our choices. She rubbed her flat stomach. My baby paid with her life for my youthful arrogance. I'll carry that debt until I die. Look forward, not back, I told her. I never liked her, but hatred? No. A man who can be stolen was never really yours. A crooked smile crossed her face. Losing to you isn't humiliating. You didn't lose to me. You lost to yourself. Love someone 3/10, keep the rest for you. Years fluttered by. The next time I saw Adrian he had a new girl on his arm, an heiress from another dynasty, perfect on paper. The Cross family approved. Long time no see, he offered. We exchanged polite, lukewarm pleasantries. Luna had vanished from Eastbrook years earlier. Word was she was doing okay in some Midwest city, just never dared speak of love again. All that fire and poison had long since settled into silt at the bottom of time. After the third round of cocktails Julian rested his head on my shoulder like an overgrown retriever. Let's go home, wife. All right, let's go home. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and share with friends. We'd love to read your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.